All right, and with us this morning, our first guest for Hot Copy is Sunshine De Leon. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming to Headstart.
Thank you so much for having me.
So first, I mean, are you excited? I mean, clearly you finished this film. It's 7 years in the making. How do you feel?
I'm not sure there is a word to describe how I feel. I feel everything. I feel all happy, positive, excited emotions.
Okay.
I mean, there's just so much to look forward to, and there's been so many great things that have happened since finishing the film.
Yeah.
It was beyond anything I could have ever imagined.
Why did you think of doing this film?
It's funny, because I think back now, and I don't remember a time when I didn't think of doing the film. I've had it in my gut for so long. Yeah. It started because when my grandmother's gift is her memory. She remembers everything, and she remembers it with clarity and detail. And I used to, growing up, I would watch people listen to her stories, and I would see their reactions. And they were always fascinated, and they wanted to know more. And then as I got older and people would come and continue to visit her, I just realized that she was a great character through which to get people interested in the history of the Philippines, which I felt growing up people didn't know enough about, both abroad and here. I think there's so much that she has to share, and I think that you have to understand your history and where you've come from in order to fully understand where you can go in life, as a country, as a person. So I thought that her memories would be the best way to bring that history alive and share it to people on the screen. Yeah. And I also thought, I watched her in action. I watched her humanity, her compassion, her I call it Nana's way, her way of living, her way of being, her way of seeing the world. I thought it was very special and unique, and there were a lot of lessons that she offers, simple truths that we often forget, that I also thought would be great to share with people.
How would you define, would you consider this a movie or a documentary? Where would it fall under?
It's a documentary.
Okay.
It's definitely a documentary.
Do you use actors in any part of the film when she tells stories? No. Nothing?
No, everything's real.
All right.
And we have a combination of survivors of the war. We have my grandmother. We have historians. We have people who've known her throughout her life, commenting in different ways to add to the story. It's basically, what we tried to do was blend the history of the Philippines with her own biography, with the third thread. I called it threads that we were weaving together. The third thread was, I call it humanity. It's her wisdom and insights on life, having seen the world grow up. Yeah. And she's 104, so she's seen a lot of different things, and it's, what does she want to pass on to us? Yeah.
Now, there's a resurgence of interest in Philippine history, especially when it comes to the younger set, seeing it in more commercial terms. I mean, after the success of General Luna, it's paved the way for many people to actually go out, go to the theater, and pay to watch something historical. I mean, it wasn't so many, it wasn't like this 10 years ago. General Luna was, it was a biopic about a figure that has been dead for a long time. It used actors. This particular film of yours, it's a documentary, but what is the goal? What is the theme other than, clearly she weaves Philippine history together. What did you set out to teach or to tell in the end?
I think that, first of all, about your comment about the resurgence of people wanting to know about history. I was so happy when General Luna was made, and the reaction was the way it was. I wrote my co-producer, who was an American, I said, I think we're on the right track.
Oh, good,
I said, I think that people are starting. Because I made this film because I always had this gut thing that I should make the film. I never really thought, are people going to like it? How's it going to do, etc. So when the audience seemed ready for this kind of thing, I was very excited. The goal is in the title, I think. I wanted to make a film that inspired people to be more curious about each other, about life. I always said that if people saw the film and they suddenly left it with a desire to be more curious, an interest in being more adventurous, however they wanted to define adventure in their life, and look at each other with more compassion and love, then my goal would have been, as a storyteller, I would have served my purpose. Yeah. On a larger level, I want people to care more about Philippine history. I think it's interesting and misunderstood or not understood at all. So I wanted people to know more about history, and I wanted people to just learn, to be inspired by the little things that she does in the story, and to understand that everything has a ripple effect. A small action, the smallest of actions can lead to the greatest of change. And it's not hard to change people's lives. It's not hard to help people. You don't need a lot of time or money. You just need to care. And there's a lot of that sort of simple wisdom that reminds us, reminds us of how we can be, that we can always be better than we think.
Is there a misconception in Philippine history that you tackle in this film? Can you tell us what that is without revealing too much?
A misconception?
Yeah, like something you feel that this film addresses?
I don't think that this film necessarily addresses misconceptions. I think it just provides the broad strokes to understand the context of the Filipino country and culture and history. I think, for a lot of people in America don't know it was an American colony. A lot of people forget it was a Spanish colony. A lot of people have said to me, oh, I didn't know the Philippines was so devastated during the war. I think it enlightens people more. It sheds light on things that they might not have known. Or they didn't know that Manila was so devastated. Things like that.
Okay. You were filming this for 7 years.
Yeah.
7 years is a long time.
Yes.
Tell us, I mean, take us through the challenges in the last 7 years. What was, I mean, I can imagine just how difficult it was.
Yeah, it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
All right.
And I had no idea when I got into it how hard it was going to be.
So you started funding it with your own money?
Yes.
Okay, tell us, were you the first camera person?
No, I didn't shoot it.
Okay, go on.
I had my hands in everything except shooting it.
Okay. So what did you do, like in the first year?
In the first year, because originally I thought her story would be a book. And then someone had said to me, the fact that she can speak at 99 and remember things so clearly, forget the book, do a film. So I rather naively said, okay, I'll make a film, having actually no idea what that meant or what that would entail. So I didn't really know what the story was going to be. I knew I had a good story, I just didn't know how to tell it. And I didn't know what to include, what not to include. So I just started to film her. I just hired a crew and said, let's just sit her down and ask her 100,000 questions.
Yeah.
And get everything on tape. And
you
then we can
didn't know
figure
it would get commercial, nothing. No. You just spent money, you hired a crew and filmed her, and then?
And then we just started following her around. Anytime, literally, I have so much footage. Even just, I would shoot at a family event, we'd go to an event, I would just take out my camera, whatever I had, and just shoot it in case we could use it.
Okay.
So it came together really in pieces. Like, I always had this vision of a film, and I wanted the film to sort of balance. The goal was to make the film balance the character, other than my grandmother, the film is shot in the house, which is a 200-year-old Spanish colonial house, right by this huge, gigantic, ancient rubber tree, banyan tree, right next to the Pasig River. Yeah. So you have the house, the tree, the river, the old lady. They're all characters. And there's a poetry inherent in each of them that I wanted to come through in the film. So we had to balance that with the story, with actually having a storyline. So that was one of the hardest challenges. How did you figure out to balance poetry with story? And at the same time, how do you weave together history, humanity, and biography? And it was a huge balancing act. What images do you put in? What stories do you tell in? So that was one of the biggest challenges. It was also difficult because she was 99 when we started shooting her, so I couldn't bring her around Manila to do things. I had to shoot whatever she was doing in the house, and maybe once or twice I got her outside of the house, which meant we had to find a lot of archival footage to cover it, to make it interesting. That was a challenge, because there's no one place in Manila that you could go to with all the archival footage.
And why do you think that it takes 7 years? I mean, looking at it in hindsight now.
Because I didn't know what I was doing.
All right, I get it. No, I didn't. That's smart. Okay, okay. So you didn't know what you were doing. That was fun.
No, because it was my first film, and I'd never been to film school. It was like I had said one morning, I want to be an astronaut. There was a huge learning curve, and I was working alone. I had to find the right people to work with. I had to, I just started collecting information. I would write everything down, take pictures, shoot everything, and then hoped at some point that I would figure out how to actually make this into a film. So it really, one of the things my grandmother always says is, with patience, things fall into place. And so I kept saying that in my head. I said, this has got to come together. I don't know how or when. And, I would travel around the world, and my friends were like, so how's your film? Yeah. And I'm like, it's coming. Because I never knew.
Now, clearly you admire your grandmother. I met her in a restaurant once, and she is very sharp. But I was going to ask you, growing up, what was her influence on you? How did you become the person you are today because of your grandmother?
Huge. It's more like, how did she not influence me? Growing up, she influenced me, but I think it was more in the last 10 years that I've been here. I'm the only grandchild that's here. Okay. So we spend a lot of time together. And I think that you know, I guess the strongest way is, well, one, she inspired me to make a film, which I think might have changed my life.
Yeah, yeah.
Two, it was her idea for me to be a journalist. And when I came back to the Philippines to start working as a freelance journalist, I was sort of terrified. I didn't really, I was like, I don't know if I can write, you know?
Yeah.
I ask questions, but I don't know if I can write. And she was a huge supporter of that. In fact, you know, she used to edit my stories. When I first started writing, when I was really like, I don't know if I could do this.
You have a very intimate relationship with her, and I think that's special.
We do. I mean, I mean, when you spend 7 years, or actually it's been more than 7 that I've been following her around, but when you spend that much time writing down everything that someone says and listening to them, I mean, I wake up and I used to have Nana sound bites in my head. I still do.
Yes.
You know, all her, I call them Nana-isms, like her words of wisdom on everything.
What is the one thing, I mean, I remember my mom's quotes growing up that made me the person I am today. If I were to ask you, what is the one quote that you always remember that's stuck in your head? I mean, you pull out every time that she said, I mean, a life lesson.
Oh my God, there's so many.
Yeah, I just name, I don't know if it's about love.
I mean, name a topic, I can give you a lesson.
Okay, like for example, did she say, sunshine, about love, remember this? She'd
say there's a difference between love and compatibility. And if you can, if it's possible, try to have both, but if you have to choose compatibility.
My God, your grandmother is amazing. Really? If you have both, choose compatibility?
If you can't have both, choose compatibility.
Okay, what about career?
Career. She says, open your mind, follow your heart, and everything will fall into place.
Oh. What about old age? Did she tell you anything about old age?
Yes, lots of things. Yeah. I think she says, when I used to tell her, Nana, you know, take care of yourself when I'd go on a trip, she'd say, don't worry, I'm in the age of self-preservation. And I'd say, what does that mean? I refuse to worry about things over which I have no control.
I love it. My gosh, you are blessed. You are blessed to have that kind of wit, intelligence. I mean, just around you. You know, you understand? These life lessons.
No, she's really, I think the other thing I was going to say about how she's inspired me, and maybe one of the lessons that I've learned the most from her is the importance of compassion and taking the time to look someone in the eye and say, can I help you? You know, how do you feel? And how easy it is to make a difference. She always says that whenever you have an opportunity to help someone in any way, you should.
Yeah.
And I think that is definitely drummed into my head.
Now, is she strong enough to watch the movie?
Yes.
Okay.
In fact, one of the best moments of my life, I think, was when I first showed her the movie. I was always racing against time because it took me 7 years and I started when she was 99. So I was always like, I have to finish this before anything happens to her.
Yeah.
And so when I showed her the film earlier this year, I turned the old house into a movie theater, invited some family and friends, and put it on the big screen and sat next to her, held her hand. And that was magnificent. I mean, just watching her watch her own film on screen, and I don't think she really knew what I was going to do. I mean, what it was going to end up as, well, neither did I. So it was really just blank slate. It was like, Nana, sit down and here's your life. And the history of the country.
Okay. Now, this film will be part of Cinemalaya. Okay? Talk about that. So where can we watch it? When should we watch it?
It's Cinemalaya. It's exhibiting at Cinemalaya. The screening is going to be on Saturday, August 13th.
All right. That's already this Saturday at 3:30 p.m.
No, next Saturday.
Okay.
Next Saturday.
Yeah, next Saturday.
Next Saturday, August 13th at 3:30 p.m. at the Little Theater at CCP.
Okay. And will it be showing in regular theaters?
I hope so.
Yeah. So first you have CCP.
Well, the first was the World Premiere Festival. Then we have CCP. Then the Cinemateca, which is the Film Development Council of the Philippines, Cinemateca in Ermita, they're showing it 4 times this month. Okay. They're also showing it in Iloilo, Baguio, and Davao.
I hope you show it in Rockwell.
I would love to show it.
Yeah, that would be great. Now, for CCP, can they buy tickets?
They can buy tickets,
in CCP.
I think it's Ticketmaster. If you go to the film's website, www.curiosityadventureandlove.com, or the film's Facebook page, which is Curiosity Adventure and Love. There's information on an email there's the email for Ticketmaster and someone else who can.
Now, will we see Sunshine, the filmmaker, after this? I mean, I'm curious. Do you want to make more films?
Maybe more documentaries.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, I'm thinking about it. Yes. A lot of people have asked me that. And when I set out to make, I never said I want to be a filmmaker. It was more like I want to tell Nana's story, and it happened to be a film. So yes, it's possible. I think we do have my co-producer Suzanne and I have some ideas that are in development. So yes, I probably will make another film.
And that's what's amazing about this is you were fundraising most of the time to be able to finish the film. I'm quite curious, what did you do in the last stages? Clearly, the money spent on film would be in editing, post-production. I mean, these are the challenges already when you're putting a film together. Who did you get to actually edit the film?
The editor was in New York.
Okay.
An American guy called Justin Weinberg.
Yeah. Okay. And why did you choose him and not a Filipino? I mean, there's so many talented Filipinos.
Believe it or not, a lot of them were busy.
Oh, really?
Yes, it was actually hard to find an editor. But no, I thought about it, and I had a very international team in the end. My co-producer, Suzanne, is a documentary filmmaker.
Okay.
She's the one that actually knew how to make a film professionally. She's based in America, in New York and LA.
Yeah.
And it was her and then Justin in New York. And because I wanted someone who had some distance from the story, I wanted to make a story that appealed to an audience not just in the Philippines.
Yeah.
I believe that her story is universal. There's a lot of elements in it. There's a romance, there's history, there's war, there's humanitarianism. So I think it was good to have someone with a little bit of distance. I worked with him very closely, so I could provide the context of the Philippines and my grandmother, but he had a little bit of distance to take the best elements out of her story.
So is this the kind of movie I think we might see in the Sundance Film Festival? Is that
My goal right now, having finished the film, is to make sure that as many people in as many countries around the world see it. Just because it took me so long, and I put so much into it. I'm applying. We're sending it to festivals in various places around the world. I'm also talking to people about showing it in the U.S. Through some of the Philippine consulates in LA, New York, D.C.
Very good.
San Francisco. So I'm working on it. I mean, the great thing about the film and what's really inspired me more is people's reactions to the film. I mean, I've been getting emails and calls and texts saying, how can I help you show this film around the world? You should show it to schools. You should show it on TV. ANC is considering airing it. So we're working on a date for that. So I never dreamed that people would want to see the film as much as they have. And it's really... it's overwhelming. It's great. I wake up every day smiling.
Oh, great. I love that feeling.
You know, because
I love that feeling. Okay.
It was such a hard thing to do. To actually see people like it, it's like, wow. You know?
All right. So August 13, 3:30 p.m. It will be part of the Cinemalaya Film Festival. Go to the CCP Little Theater and watch the film. Will you have a press conference before it or after?
There'll be a Q&A. There'll be an introduction by me and a question and answer so people can ask me anything they want about making a film. And I'm happy to share any story. There's so many stories.
Good luck to you, Sunshine. I have no doubt this film will be a success, and I have no doubt this is not your last.
Thank you.
I am telling you, this is not your last. All right, Headstart, we'll be right back. When we return, we'll have New York-based Filipina artist Mia Herbosa. She's up next. Stay with us.